South Park is one of the longest running shows in TV history, which is very impressive, because people have been trying to cancel this show since the beginning, especially in Season 1. South Park Season 1 seemed to have a Mortal Kombat effect to it. The more people complained about it, the more popular it became. Heck, this show alone made Comedy Central a cable juggernaut, allowing them to create other standout shows. South Park was an instant success since the first episode, and became a household name in entertainment. But now looking back decades later, I wonder how good the first season really is. Does it hold up to today, or should it stay in the past? If you listen to its creator, Trey Parker, this season's terrible, and he feels embarrassed about it. At least that's what I read in a news article. However, there's an adage that a person is their own harshest critic. So let's delve into this season ourselves and find the good, the bad, and the ugly of South Park Season 1. But before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to our patrons. If you would like to become a patron, the link is in the description. Now let's start with the ugly, which I would definitely say is the rampant amount of gross out humor in this season. It's basically why people call the show lowbrow toilet humor. You have a lot of throwing up in this season, especially on other people, like Wendy. Dr. Mephisto is obsessed with putting multiple butts on things. There is an entire episode about Kyle playing with poop. The Toon Central executives surrendered to protesters because of the sheer amount of porta potty usage. There is also a good amount of gory moments. Of course, there are Kenny deaths, but beyond that, there's a lot of random people getting killed, especially in the Pink Eye episode, which isn't uncommon in Halloween episodes, but there's a large body count in this one. It's not like South Park shies away from gross out humor nowadays. Just look at the Not Suitable for Children special for proof of that. But Season 1 had a lot more randomness to it. Unlike later seasons where it feels like they connect the gross out humor more into the plot. But speaking of plots, let's jump over to the bad of Season 1, which is the story and the plots of this season. Now, the overall premise of the episodes are generally good for the most part, but the execution of them really suffers. I remember once hearing Trey Parker claimed he learned a lot about storytelling and writing after working on the South Park movie. And comparing Season 1 to later seasons, you can definitely see an increase in quality. Here are just a few examples of what I feel are dumber moments in the season. The aliens giving cows a device that makes people dance? Why? Zombies being made from embalming fluid, and Worcestershire sauce. Everyone thinking zombies just have pink eye, despite no one has pink eyes. Government agents mistaking Cartman for a starving Ethiopian. And just Scuzzlebutt in general. It was fine when Cartman made up the bad horror story about it, but making it real? A monster with the actual Patrick Duffy as a leg. Yeah, that's dumb. But most of these things were supposed to be stupid jokes. And without them, we wouldn't get things like Cartman in Africa, which was hilarious. These are more forgivable things in the story, but the next thing I want to talk about, in my opinion, is really just poor writing. And that's the arbitrary plot resolutions. I think there are 3 examples that stand out for me for this. One is Scuzzlebutt. Being real is one thing, but making it the thing that saves the boys in the end just came out of nowhere. Yeah, Cartman made it up to scare the others, so it was referenced prior, but randomly making it the hero of the episode was weak. A less egregious example of poor resolution would be the ending of the first episode. With the plot centering around Ike being abducted, how do they get him back? They use Cartman's anal probe to get the aliens' attention. Okay, solid so far. But how do they save Ike? He just jumps off the ship. That's it. And the aliens don't even care he left. Problem solved. But this is the lesser of the 3 endings, which is more defendable. The worst plot resolution is what happened to the substitute teacher in Tom's rhinoplasty. This is where Wendy thinks the teacher has stolen Stan away from her. And how does this get resolved? Iraqi soldiers burst into the school, abduct her, put her into a rocket, and shoot her into the sun. Then we learn that Wendy paid them to do it. So Wendy has enough money to pay Iraq to invade American soil, abduct a US citizen, and launch a rocket, which the average rocket launch is in the tens of millions of dollars. And that's not even leaving orbit. This one went to the sun. Yeah, it's just random and bad. But with the ugly and bad out of the way, let's talk about the good of the season, which there is plenty. I wouldn't say any episode is truly awful. There are subpar ones for sure, but generally I found most of the episodes enjoyable, and there are plenty of good jokes beyond the toilet humor. The Mecha Streisand Kaiju battle was fun. I love Cartman snapping at Kyle for getting him ants in the pants. And one of my favorite moments this season was finding out the only person who bet on Jesus to win the battle with Satan was Satan. I just thought that was really clever. Now beyond those moments, I would like to give you my top 3 episodes of South Park Season 1. Number 3 is Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. Despite my previous mentions of his shortcomings, the dancing and the ending with Ike, this is actually a really solid episode with plenty of great jokes. And it's a great introduction for the characters and the town of South Park. The only reason it's not higher on the list is there's something jarring about watching the episode. Throughout the episode, all the characters have an odd double effect, where to the sides of them you can see the outlines of their frames. It can make you feel like something's wrong with your eyes, like you're seeing double. I think this has something to do with the episode being made of actual paper cutouts, instead of being made on the computer like every episode afterwards. So this episode is good, great even, but it can be hard to actually watch. Number 2 is Death. This episode centers around Grandpa Marsh wanting Stan to kill him, which is a dark premise, but the episode is just absolutely hilarious. At one point he tricks Stan into holding a rope as he tries to hang himself. Then his sister comes in and yells at him, wondering what the hell he's doing to Grandpa, and it makes me laugh every time. There is a subplot involving Kyle's mom leading a protest to get Terrence and Philip cancelled. Sound familiar? Yeah, this subplot was so good they reused it for the movie. Of course, the movie had a better ending. As previously mentioned, this one ends because of porta potties, instead of the actual protests. Besides that, it was a really good episode, but it isn't number 1 because that goes to Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pill. This episode is about Kyle being upset that he doesn't get to celebrate Christmas because he's Jewish. However, he does get comforted by Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pill, who visits people if they have enough fiber in their diet. Unfortunately, Mr. Hanky causes issues for Kyle, because if you don't believe in Mr. Hanky, you just see a piece of poo. So throughout the episode, people think Kyle is losing his mind, as he is walking around holding a piece of poop. At one point, Mr. Hanky doesn't like Cartman singing the iconic song Kyle's Mom is a Bitch, so he lunges at him, causing people to think Kyle just chucked crap at Cartman. This causes Kyle to be put into a mental asylum, for good reason. That is until Chef confirms Mr. Hanky is real, and the town comes together in support of Kyle. There is also a subplot about people complaining about Christmas, and getting too offended by every little thing involving the holiday, leading to the kids putting on a really strange Christmas play because they can't use common Christmas elements, which is a nice message about people being too offended by everything. This episode is also part musical with several memorable songs in it, like Kyle's Mom is a Bitch, the Mr. Hanky theme song, and Lonely Jew on Christmas. It's also the first episode where Kenny doesn't get killed, which was a great Christmas gift for the character. And it also had funny moments where they made you think this is how he's gonna die. Overall, this was easily the best episode of the season. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly for South Park Season 1. If you have different thoughts and feelings about anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.